When you log in to your Opal account, you have two options. You can either be a convener or you can switch to a learner. You need to go to learner to register for things. The Opal platform allows conveners, you, to be able to create meetings or events. So if you click on activities, now this takes a while to load. So it appears to be doing nothing, but eventually it will work. So we're going to go up here to add activity. So as a convener, you can create an activity. So when we come in, 20 is the year. I am going to do one for finance.
This list of three-letter codes will be sent to you.
I'm going to ask you to use the last three numbers of your mobile phone. And if this is the first of an event, then it's A. If you're going to do the same event, we're going to call it B, C. And if I'm in my finance group here, I'm creating an event for AFS workshops, and they're in Bendigo, Shepparton and Wangaratta. I would call Bendigo A, Shep B, and Wangaratta C. So, but you'll get used to that as we go along. The convener should come up with Sandhurst people. So I'm going to say that Bridge is going to be the convener, not Carly. Just click on them to delete them. So just Bridge will do. Activity tags are there. If someone searched for AFS, they would find that it would group them under this tag. So it's a sort of a searching category tool. We'll call it finance. Now this is useful if you're getting people coming from school to say what their role and their level is. You can have that on and or not, it's up to you. If your event is going to be used as a way of tracking for VIT, now the finance one isn't, so I'm just going to say no. But if it was, you can say there's two standards under professional knowledge. You can say, well, my event uses that one, or well, it works to that one. Professional knowledge, they can create there. I'm just going to say no for this one. We're not going to use certificates at the moment. Maybe in the future we might. If you've got a file for your event, so if you had an AFS logo or something, you could use that, but if you don't, the default one goes in there. So we're going to send this one to Jenny Kennedy for approval. As a convener, you can't send this immediately to live. You've got the ability to save it and then send it for approval, and our approvers will check it all out. We were in general to start with. We're going to description. So AFS workshop, you can have all your details here, which you can copy and paste in. You can have files and things as well there with using these pieces of work. So it naturally calls it AFS workshop. If we say our maximum attendees is 40, if you get over 40, it creates a waiting list. And so people who go onto that waiting list have to wait for someone to drop out or whatever. But generally, we don't use waiting lists much. So if I'm going to say this one's in Bendigo, I'm going to go to CEO Sandhurst Bendigo. And because of that, it knows all our meeting rooms. So we're going to use the Campo Hall. You must check room availability and book the room yourself. Okay, when you come to presenter, there's a whole list in here, but there's one, if you can find your individual person, that'll be fine. But if you just want to put, say, CEO Sandhurst staff, we're not quite sure who's doing it, or you just want to keep it generic, that'll be fine. Is this session mandatory? Normally it is, if you want people to come to this session. There is the option of having multiple sessions and saying this one isn't mandatory, but we will say this one is mandatory for anyone who registers for it. It's not a conference workshop. This is interesting. If we tick that, that means that when a person registers for it, they're automatically accepted in, which is what they're used to. We're going to leave disable registration at 0 days. We're not going to use job code. The start date you choose on the list. This is 0900, and you have to watch it because it puts a colon in as soon as you put two numbers. It uses 24-hour time. So if we say 3:30 is our finish time, and we're going to have an hour of break, including morning tea and lunch, then over here it works out your professional hours at 5.5 hours. And that adds up for your VIT, for people's VIT over time. The registration cost, generally for us, it's 0. Come on to recommend, and you'll notice that by default, everyone is ticked. So if I tick that, that would mean that this activity is available for every diocese in Victoria. So if you only want it available for Sandhurst, deselect all of them and just tick Sandhurst. If you want things to work for Sale or be available to Sale, to Ballarat, but not to CEM, then that's fine too. But generally, you'll just tick it for Sandhurst. If I click on Sandhurst, that's going to go to everyone in Sandhurst. But if you click on this little plus, you have the ability to say, all right, I just want to go to the Golden Valley schools and to the people in the office. So only those people will see it. If I open that up, it's gone, maybe I just want it to go to primary. So I'm going to deselect that and just say primary. Right, and that means everyone in that list, if you select all of them off, maybe you can just send it to 2 schools. So that means the event that you're creating, only 2 schools and the CEO Sandhurst office people will see it. Recommend doesn't send an invite. It will just enable people in those schools to see the event. The feedback questions, you can choose here which of the feedback questions you would like to do. Just tick the ones you want to use. And that then becomes part of what happens after the event. Anyone who's registered and has been, they will get these questions as for feedback to you. So what are custom fields? They're questions at the end of the registration form that allow you to collect data like accommodation or other things. Then you go down and save and send for approval. Okay, it's been sent off to Jenny for approval. Down the bottom, normally we would save and send this for approval, but to use custom fields, we've found this. Before we send it off for approval, we save it as a draft. So it's saving it as a draft, and it should tell me any second. You can see up here it's curling, and down the bottom it says waiting for Opal. So it's doing some work. Here it comes. All right, so the new activity has been saved as a draft. Okay, it doesn't appear in your activities sessions like this, like your normal activities, because they've been approved. You come into your activities and you're looking for your drafts. They don't appear here. But if you go to search, you can put a tag in, but you don't need to. You just come over here to draft and search, and it will find anything of yours that is a draft that you've saved for draft. So after a bit of searching, it will find any draft that you have made, and here's the one I had. So I can go in and continue to edit this or add some custom fields. I have the ability to have a custom field. So when it loads up, here's my custom fields, and it also has waiting lists, but custom fields are available here. Now, custom fields are interesting because you can actually add questions. So if I added a question,
just do check boxes so that they're all correct. Step 2. And I'll say it's not mandatory. And if I add that field, there we go.
You can continue to save it as activity as a draft until you're finished, and then send and save for approval. Okay, it's been sent off to Jenny for approval.